Go ahead and get started. The life of persecution is our lesson. And, think about that the church today is, like I said, it is being persecuted. People that stand up for Jesus Christ are being persecuted. In John 15 through 18, it says, if the world hates you, you know that it hateth me before it hateth you. If ye were of the world would of his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is no greater than the Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. And you kind of think about that today. Like I said, the church is persecuted today. People that's standing up for Jesus Christ and witnessing for him and sharing the gospel. Like I said, it says, if the world hateth you, ye know that it hateth me before it hateth you. And if the world hateth, and if ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. It was telling here that Jesus was telling that, the world hated him. The world didn't accept him and didn't believe on him, didn't trust in him. They crucified him. They put him to death. You kind of think about that. I guess kind of got thinking about that while I read through it. And it tells in here, Jesus, what he done while he was on earth, he taught. He showed love and kindness to everybody. He healed people. He done all kinds of things that were good and stuff like that. But the world wouldn't accept him. The world wouldn't accept him and believe in him and trust in him. And back then they wouldn't. They crucified him and, like I said, beat him and crucified him and the things they done to him. And that was as terrible the way they done him and stuff. But he done it for you and me. He made a way for you and me to be saved. He made a way for you and me to go to heaven. And they persecuted, like I said, him. The disciples and stuff, they were persecuted, followers of Christ. Many of them were put to death for following after Jesus Christ, for believing on him and stuff. Kind of think about some of the things that are taking place. In the world today, they don't want you to tell about Jesus Christ, that he's on the way to heaven. They don't want you to share the gospel. They don't want you saying that. And it's, the things have changed so much, since I was young and stuff. Used to that Gideons could come to schools and hand out Bibles. You could witness to people at schools. Now they try to keep that from happening. They don't want that to take place. They don't want people sharing the gospel at schools and stuff like that. They don't want you sharing the gospel anywhere. They don't want you telling it anywhere. They don't want you calling sin, sin. And the world is accepting all these other things and stuff like that. You see some of these things that are taking place in our schools, this critical race theory and stuff. They'll teach them how to do all kinds of things that are wrong and stuff like that, to accept all kinds of things, to accept sin and everything's all right and stuff. That's the things they're trying to teach them in school, to say that anything's okay, that everything's okay. And like I said, they claim they're not teaching this in schools and stuff like that, but they are. They are teaching all kinds of things like that and stuff. They're trying to make them accept all kinds of things. The world today is Christians and stuff, aborting babies. It's wrong. It's a sin. And I know they don't like it. For people to speak out against that, to call it sin, to call it wrong and stuff, they want to be able to do that. And even in that too, men and men want to be together and women want to be together and stuff like that. They don't want you speaking out against that. They don't want you speaking out against things like that in the world today. They don't want you calling sin, sin. And that's considered a hate crime if you say some of the things against some of these people and stuff like that. And like I said, you see these things taking place, and like I said, they're pushing more and more. You kind of see during this virus what was going around, a lot of places and stuff, they closed down a lot of churches and stuff and said they weren't a necessity, but they had all other kinds of things going on and stuff like that that were evil and stuff that they were saying it was a necessity. They could stay open and stuff like that. You see all these things taking place and all these things happening in the world today. The church is being persecuted. And, like I said, and it pretty much tells us, that if they persecuted Jesus, and if we stand up for him, if we stand up for what's right, we're going to be persecuted by the world. We're going to be, I guess you could say, talked down at because we stand up for him, for what we stand up for what's right. And it's in John 15:22. It says, if I have not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now that they have no cloak for their sin, he that hateth me hateth my Father also. If I had not done, if I had not among them the works which I had done, none other man did. They had not sinned, but now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. But this cometh to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in the law, they hateth me without a cause. This here too, Jesus came and he told them the truth. He called sin, sin and stuff. He brought that out to them. He showed them what the things were, sin and things like that. They didn't want to hear that. A lot of the people, the Jewish people and stuff, already knew what was sin. They had the law and stuff. They knew what was wrong and stuff, but he brought this out to them. He showed it to them. And it says also that they have no cloak for their sin. They have no covering. They have no hide or be able to hide it and stuff like that. He showed it to them. But they already knew it was. They just didn't want to accept it. They just didn't want to believe it. They didn't want to call sin, sin. They didn't want to call some of the things that were wrong. And it's the same way in the world today. People don't want to call sin, sin. They want to live the way they want to, and they want to do the things that they want to do and stuff. And like I said, it says, he that hateth me hateth my Father also. And if had not done among them the workers which none other man did, they had not sinned. But now they have both seen and hated both me and my Father. The works that he done, the things that he done, he come down here, like I said, he talked to people. He done miracles and stuff. He healed people. He was, like I said, a great witness to the people down here, but they rejected him. They wouldn't accept him. They wouldn't believe him back then. They wouldn't believe that he's the Son of God, that he died on the cross for them, that he made a way for everyone to go to heaven. And the people in the world today won't believe that. They won't accept that today. They won't believe that Jesus come and died and made a way for everyone to be saved. They won't accept what he done for them. But like I said, it's the same in the world today. And it also says down here, it says that seriously of rejecting Christ is brought out. Jesus does not mean, of course, that the Jews would have been sinless had he not appeared, but he does mean that the sin of rejecting God as he is would not have been imputed unto them had they not had the revelation of God which was made through them. But now all things are. They have no excuse. There is no way of covering up their sin. Like I said, it said here in this, when he wrote this part here, that they already knew it was sin and stuff like that. but he brought it out to them. He showed them it was sin. He told them it was sin and stuff like that. And, there was no excuse for that them not knowing or them not accepting or them not believing. But and then, like I said, it's the same in the world today. People don't want to accept Jesus. People don't want to believe that he's the only way to heaven. That everyone is sin and come short of the glory of God, for there is none righteous, no, not one. You know what? They don't want to believe that. They don't want to accept it. And in John 16, 1 through 4, these things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended, that ye shall put that they shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you and thinketh that he hath done doeth God service, and these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, ye may remember that I told you of them. These things are taking place and these things are happening. Back then, like I said, they were put out of the synagogues and stuff like that for preaching and teaching Jesus Christ. And it says also too, and it comes that they'll kill you, that they'll kill people and stuff and think that they've done a great service to God. And these things which will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, ye may remember that I told you of them. He told us that these things are going to take place and going to happen and stuff like that. They were happening back in his time, and after Jesus was crucified and arose on the third day, that many of the disciples, many of the followers, many of the believers were crucified. Were put to death and stuff like that for standing up for Jesus Christ. Many of them lost their lives and stuff. And like I said, they're being persecuted, but it's in the same today. Kind of gives a thing down here. It said, most recent report from Open Doors indicates that 260 million Christians suffer high or severe levels of persecution in 2020 for their faith. 260 million Christians, and like I said, been persecuted for their faith and stuff like that, been put down for that. And it says 8 Christians are killed every day. That's probably, some of these figures and stuff I'd say are probably low numbers of what's really taking place, of what's really happening in the world today. It says 182 churches or Christian buildings are attacked every week. It said 309 Christians are jailed for their faith every month. And said, like also it said, this is the top 50 nations that these things are most suffering in and stuff like that. But it doesn't count all the nations, so the numbers are probably a whole lot higher and stuff. People are being persecuted. People are being put to death for standing up for Jesus Christ. You see more and more in our country today. The church is being persecuted. If you see, we're the only ones that don't have any rights in America anymore. We can't say anything. We say something against sin and stuff like that, and it's considered hate crimes and stuff like that. They don't want us sharing the gospel. They don't want us telling people that Jesus is the only way to heaven, that you have to be born again to go to heaven. They don't want us saying that. Kind of some of the things and stuff like that are taking place and happening in our country today. We're being persecuted for that, for standing up for Jesus Christ. They don't want you telling people about him. They don't want you sharing the gospel and stuff. And you kind of see the things. Like I said, I kind of mentioned the schools. They can teach anything in the world in schools today, except you can't tell people about Jesus Christ. You can't witness about him. You can't share the gospel. They don't want you to. Or they try to tell you can't. Legally, you do have a right. Now, some of the teachers, I think the way that's worded and stuff like that, if a child brings it up, teachers can share their faith with them. And it's legal that way, but if a teacher brings it up, it's considered wrong and stuff like that. And you kind of see some of these things taking place. And you see some of the things that they're teaching in the schools today that they're really scary and stuff. I watched, I guess, a teacher a parent down in Florida, what they had done to their child in school and stuff like that. They were secretly having secret meetings with this child, people in that, and telling them, really to change genders and stuff like that. This was taking place, telling their parents not to tell them anything about it. And you see some of the things they're promoting in the world today and stuff like that. You know it's wrong, what they're doing and stuff. And like I said, they persecute people for standing up for Jesus Christ, for telling people about Jesus Christ, for being a witness and stuff. They're persecuting people in the world today. And like I said, all these people here, it give these examples and stuff like that of the people that are being persecuted for standing up for Jesus Christ. People are being killed for that. And like I said, I know it says here that 8 Christians are killed every day for that, for their faith in Jesus Christ. And I'd say it's a whole lot more than that. That's probably a real low figure of what's taking place. Churches are being attacked. People will be put in jail for standing up for Jesus Christ and telling people about him and calling sin, sin. I think it's going to get worse and worse. I believe it's going to get more and more. I think we're getting closer to the end of times. I think we're getting closer to the rapture and stuff like that. And you see the things that governments throughout the world, they've even been mentioning this, the New World Order. Even our president said it, and it's been said for years. But people, leaders of all countries all over the world are saying it. And even the pandemic, really, the way they do it and stuff, the way they handle it, they're trying to get more control of the people. They're trying to get you to go along with what they want, and what we say is law and stuff. And you kind of see some of these things too about parents and stuff like that. They're trying to teach that schools, that parents really don't know what their kids should be taught. That the teachers do, and the education people should do that. The parents ought to just stay out of it. That's a terrible thing that's happening in our country today and stuff like that. But we see all this taking place and all this happening in the world today. They're trying to keep us from sharing the gospel. They're trying to keep us from telling people about Jesus Christ. Will we be persecuted for that? Will you be canceled for standing up for Jesus Christ? And you think about that, could a government or something like that just kind of cancel you? Some of the things that are taking place or happening in the world today, if in the financial stuff like that, if the government decided to cancel you, they can cancel your cards, they can cancel your bank accounts, they can cancel everything you got, they can take everything they want from you if they want to do it. They can do that at any time, and they're getting more and more control, and they're wanting to do that. This new digital currency thing that they're thinking about going to, like I said, they've already been talking about it. They pretty much can control what you do with your money. And like I said, they'll be aware of everything you spend it on and everything you do with it. You kind of see these things taking place and things and happening and stuff in the world today. And I know, like I said, I believe it. It's getting closer to the Lord Jesus Christ coming back. I believe the rapture could happen at any time. You see the things about, like I said, Russia and Ukraine and stuff. This is not the final battle talked about in Ezekiel, or the battle in Ezekiel 38 and 39. The countries are not lined up quite for that yet. But it's kind of a showing of what's going to take place. They'll all come against Israel in those days and stuff like that. What will happen to them, how they'll die in the valley, how many of them will be killed in the valley when they come down against Israel. Israel does have a massive army, and they are really good. But when all these nations, Russia and all these, come against them and stuff like that, they won't be but one that can save them, and that's God. And, and he'll show his power, and everybody will know who saved them, who destroyed the enemy and stuff like that. And you see this, like I said, you see this coming to pass and stuff like that. Setting up of things in the world and stuff like that. You think about some of the things that are controlled and stuff. The oil and stuff from Russia and stuff, they were controlling a lot of countries and stuff like that already because they sold oil to them and stuff like that. Germany, I think, was like 75 or 80% of their oil come out of Russia. In a lot of those countries over there. You see some of the things like that, and I read some of the things about Israel too, that their oil, or they natural gas and stuff like that, they have a large amount of it, and they are selling it to other countries, but they're selling it through Egypt to keep from Russia coming after them and stuff for underselling them. And but you kind of see some of the things that are taking place, setting up the world. You think about that oil and gas and all these things, that'll be what a lot of those come for at the end and stuff. It says that they'll come for things and possessions and stuff when they come against Israel and stuff like that. Oil will probably be the main thing that they're coming after. They're finding oil in that. They're drilling for oil in the valley of Megiddo, where the final battle is going to take place, where it's going to happen and stuff like that. But you see all this taking place and all this happening. And like I said, I believe the church will be persecuted. I believe it'll get more and more of that as every day goes on and stuff. I think they'll have less tolerance for us in the world, and we'll see more and more persecution. I guess that's kind of all I got this morning in comments or anything.
Brother Ricky, read there where the Lord talked to his disciples and told